Hi guys, we are starting day 3 of our math unit with 12.3 customary units of weight. So we'll be looking at different types of weights today, looking at ounces, pounds, and tons, which are the three units we use for our customary units of weight, which is again what we use here in the United States. Remember that metrics is what they use over in Europe and other parts of the country. So let's get started. Grab your books, grab your pencils, and let's go. All right, so ounces and pounds are customary units of weight. And we're going to look at, with our first activity, how does the size of a pound compare to the size of an ounce? So the number line below shows the relationship between pounds and ounces. Step 1 says, use a colored pencil to shade 1 pound on the number line. Now, if you don't have colored pencils, that's okay. I'm going to shade it just using one color, so you can do it the same way I'm doing it with your pencil. So first, I want to shade in 1 pound. So to shade in 1 pound, I'm going to use my pencil and shade in this way, which is horizontally. Okay, shade in horizontally for a whole pound. Okay. The second step says use a different color pencil to shade 1 ounce on the lines. Now I want to shade in 1 ounce. And to shade in this one, I'm going to use vertical shading. Okay, so it kind of looks a little bit different. So I can still see the difference between them. Now it says compare the size of 1 pound to the size of 1 ounce. So how much bigger is 1 pound than 1 ounce? Or how many ounces does it take to make 1 pound? Good. You need 16 ounces to make 1 pound. I need 16 little pieces to make one. So that means that 1 pound is 16 times as heavy as 1 ounce. So if we are going to be converting from pounds to ounces, which we will be doing later in the lesson, remember we're going to multiply our pounds by our 16 ounces to get however many ounces total there are. Then here it says, explain how the number line helped you compare the sizes of the units. So how did looking at this picture help us figure out that we need 16 ounces to make 1 pound? Good. In our picture, it shows us with a visual that it takes 16 ounces to make that pound. We can see that there are 16 little spots ticked off along our number line to get to our 1 pound across the top. So we could say the number line helped me compare the size of a pound and the size to the size of an ounce. So help me compare the size of a pound to the size of an ounce. Okay. We also have a math talk question here that I want to do real quick. It says, which is greater, 9 pounds or 9 ounces? Okay. So we're going to start with our 9 pounds. And we'll put our little compare for our 9 ounces. Now, we know that 16 ounces make 1 pound. So that means we could take our 9 and multiply it by 16 to see how many ounces are in 9 pounds. So first I would do 9 times 6 is 54. So put down my 4, carry my 5. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5 more is 14. So this actually has 144 ounces. So what is bigger, 144 ounces or 9 ounces? Good. 144 ounces is bigger. I would want 9 pounds rather than 9 ounces. Okay. I do just want to point out another little thing because I might do this later on. There are a couple abbreviations for pounds and ounces. You don't have to write them out each time. Pounds can also be written as LBS, okay? And ounces can be written as OZ. So just in case you see those symbols, or sorry, those abbreviations, not symbols, come up later on, I tend to use them and forget that I'm using them at some point. All right, we're going to keep comparing the measurements here. It says Nancy needs 5 pounds of flour to bake pies for a festival. She already has 90 ounces of flour. How can she determine if she has enough flour to bake the pies? So we need to see if 5 pounds is greater than or less than the 90 ounces that she already has. So we know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So if we want to know how many ounces are in 2 pounds, we're going to multiply our 2 pounds by 16 because it is 16 times larger than an ounce. So if you need to, you can do it off to the side here. 16 times 2, 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more makes 3. So this would be 32 ounces. Okay, and then we'll write our 32 over here as well. Okay, then we have 3 pounds. Okay, we still need 16 ounces to make 1 pound, so we're going to keep multiplying by our 16. So then we would do 16 times 3. First I do 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 more makes 4. So this would be 48 ounces. Okay. Another way to do this is I could keep adding, so I could do 16 plus 16 to get this 32, and then I could do 32 plus 16 and it would give me that 48. So my next one is 14 pounds. I still have 16 ounces in a pound, so I would do 16 times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 more is 6. So this would be 64 ounces. We're getting close there. She needs to have 5 pounds to make her pies, and she already has 90. So we got to see, do we think that the last pound, our 5 pounds, is going to be bigger or smaller than our 90 ounces? Let's see if you're right. So we'll do 16 times 5. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 3 more makes 8. So it would be 80 ounces. Okay, so 5 pounds is the same thing as 80 ounces. I'm going to leave my 90 ounces alone because my units are the same. So what is bigger, 90 ounces or 80 ounces? Good, 90 ounces is bigger. So Nancy has 90 ounces already and she needed that 5 pounds. So how would we complete the sentence? 90 ounces is greater than 5 pounds. So Nancy has enough flour to make the pies. Okay, now we're going to look at a ton. So it says there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. Okay, so up above we had there are 16 ounces in a pound. Now we know that there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. So we're going to make a table to represent tons to pounds. Okay, so 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. If we look at 2 tons, we would do 2 times 2,000. Okay. This might look a little challenging because there are lots of digits in the second number, but there's a secret trick. If you take your finger and you cover up those zeros, just multiply those first 2 numbers. So I have 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is, oh my goodness. Just look at the first 2 numbers. I have 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, then I had 3 zeros in my problem, so I need to add 3 zeros to the end. So this would be 4,000. I'm going to do the same thing again. When I'm looking at 3 tons, I'm going to again multiply by 2,000 because it takes 2,000 pounds to make 1 ton. I'm going to cover up my zeros. Now I have 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay. And then again, I have 3 zeros in my problem, so I need 3 zeros in my answer. So this would be 6,000. Okay, so 1 ton is 2,000 times as heavy as 1 pound. We're going to use these conversions that we just learned on some more problems on our next page. So again, they gave you a handy little chart up here in the corner in case you forget. Okay, so 16 ounces equal a pound. They even put in those abbreviations for you too. And then 2,000 pounds equal 1 ton. So here we're looking at 4 tons equals how many pounds? So I would be thinking in my head, 4 tons, I need to multiply by however many pounds make up 1 ton, which is 2,000. So I need to do 4 tons times 2,000. I would cover up those zeros, and I would do 4 times 2 is 8. And then I have 3 zeros in my problem, so I need 3 zeros in my answer. So 4 tons equals 8,000 pounds. Okay. So on the next one, we do the same thing. We're looking at 5 tons now. What would 5 tons be in pounds? Okay. I would do 5 times 2,000. I would cover up my zeros, and I would do 5 times 2 is 10. Then I say I have 3 zeros in my problem, so I need to add those 3 zeros to my answer. This 0 from your 10 does not count as one of your 3. You get 6 pounds, and we're changing it into ounces. So remember to pay attention to what they're switching. So we're going from pounds to ounces. How many ounces are in 6 pounds? So for this one, you can check out my chart. If I don't remember, there are 16 ounces in 1 pound, so I need to multiply my 6 pounds by 16 ounces. Okay, first start with our ones place, so 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Then I have 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 more is 9. So I have 96 ounces. Right, so number 4, I want to know what 7 pounds equals in ounces. How many ounces are in 7 pounds? Okay. We would do 16 times 7. So I do 7 times 6 first, which is 42. Put my 2 down, carry my 4. Then I have 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 more makes 11. So I would have 112 ounces. Okay. Number 5 wants to know what 6 tons are in pounds. 6 tons in pounds. I would do 6 times 2,000. Cover up my zeros. I have 6 times 2, 12. Good. And then I add on my 3 zeros. So it would be 12,000. For number 6, we're comparing two of our units of weight. For the first one, we have 1 pound is greater than, less than, or equal to 15 ounces. Remember, you always want to go from the bigger unit to the smaller unit. So I need to change my pound into ounces because I can't compare when they're different units. So 1 pound, I would do 1 times my 16, which would be 16 ounces. So either have 16 ounces or 15 ounces. Which one would my alligator mouth want to eat? Good, 16 ounces. For number 7, I have 2 tons and 2 pounds. Our tons are bigger, so I want to change this. So I would do 2 times my 2,000. That's how many pounds it takes to make a ton. Cover up my zeros. I would do 2 times 2 is 4, and add on my 3 zeros. So I have 4,000 pounds or 2 pounds. Which one do I want? Good, 4,000 pounds. Number 8 says, a landscaping company ordered 8 tons of gravel. They sell the gravel in 50-pound bags. How many pounds of gravel did the company order? So I want to know how many pounds they ordered. This sentence in the middle doesn't really matter to me. Okay, that doesn't really matter. It's just extra information that the bags are 50-pound bags. I know that they ordered 8 tons and they want to know how much that is in pounds. So I'm going to take my 8 tons and multiply it by my 2,000 pounds that are in 1 ton, okay, and see what I get. If I cover up my zeros, I have 2 times 8 is 16. Then I need to add on my 3 zeros. So I have 16,000, but I'm not done yet. Remember, you need to label your answers on word problems. Okay, number 9 says, if you could draw a number line that shows the relationship between tons and pounds, what would it look like? Explain. So if my top of my number line, we look at this one back here with pounds and ounces. If I was making one similar that had tons and pounds, what would that look like? How many little pieces would we have to have of our pounds to make up our tons? So we would need 2,000 little tick marks or pieces on our number line. Okay, so our top would show 1 ton. And the bottom would have 2,000 1,000 tick marks. To show the number of pounds it takes to make up a ton. Sorry, to show how many pounds it takes to make a ton, or 1 ton. Let's put 1 ton. Okay. For number 10, it says write the symbols that compare the weights correctly. So our first one has 160 ounces and 10 pounds. Now pounds are bigger than our ounces. We kind of flip-flopped which side had the bigger one on it. Pounds are bigger than ounces, so I need to change this pounds into ounces. Remember that we multiply by 16 when we are going from pounds to ounces. Okay. If I cover up my 0, just like I do with my other ones, I have 1 times 16, which would be 16, and I need to add on that 0. So 160 ounces and 160 ounces. So what are these? Good. They are equal. 160 ounces equals 10 pounds. For our second one, we have 600 pounds and 3 tons. Tons are bigger than pounds. So I would multiply my 3 times the 2,000 it takes to make 1 ton. Cover my zeros. I have 3 times 2 is 6, and then I have 3 zeros. So I have 6,000 pounds or 600 pounds. Are these greater than or less than? Good. 600 pounds is less than 3 tons or 6,000 pounds. Okay. For number 11, it says Alexis bought half a pound of grapes. How many ounces of grapes did she buy? So she bought half a pound. They want to know it in ounces though. So Dan drew the number line below to solve the problem. He says the model shows that there are 5 ounces in half a pound. What is his error? So he made a mistake. What is his mistake? Good. He says there are only 10 ounces in a pound. How many ounces are there actually in a pound? 16. Okay, so his model is not correct because he's not breaking his pounds out of the correct number of ounces. So it says to look at the way Dan solved the problem, find and describe his error. So we could say he, excuse me, he said there are 10 ounces in a pound. But there are 16. And then we know half of 16 is, what is half of 16? Or what times 2 make 16? Good, 8. So half of 16 is 8. So there are 8 ounces in a 1/2 pound. Okay. Then it asks us to draw the model correctly. Okay. So I'm going to draw my number line. My top is pounds, so I want to label it as so, and my bottom will be ounces. So make sure you label, okay? Both my pounds and my ounces are both gonna have a 0 on here. And down at the end, I'm gonna have a 1 pound and a 16 ounces. Now I'm gonna go by 2s with a bigger line, and then I'm gonna go back in and fill in my single line. So this would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14, 16. And then I'm just gonna go back in and make a little line in between, and that's for those odd numbers in there, okay? On our model, we need to shade in that half pound just like he has his half pound shaded it on his. So I would go in through the bottom and shade up to 8. And that would be my model. So Alexis bought 8 ounces of grapes. So the next part says, look back at the number line you drew. How many ounces are in 1/4 of a pound? So if 8 ounces are in half a pound, how many are in 1/4 of a pound? Okay, there are 4 ounces and 1/4 of a pound. So 1/4 of a pound means we would have split the 16 ounces up into 4th size pieces. So as we jumped, we would want to make sure we had 4 pieces. So we go from 0 to 4, from 4 to 8, from 8 to 12, and from 12 to 16, basically counting by 4s. So 1/4 would just be one jump here, which would be 4 ounces. So there are 4 ounces in 1/4 of a pound. Sorry, in 1/4 pound. And it does ask me to explain. So if you break up 16 into 4 pieces, there are, 16 ounces into 4 pieces, there are 4 ounces each piece. And that's it. That is all for our lesson. So the next step is going to be up to you guys. It'll be the homework page. We'll go over it here in just a second. So just remember that when you're going from ounces or from pounds to ounces, you're multiplying by 16. When you're going from a ton to a pound, you need to multiply your tons by 2,000. And if you forget that at any point in time, there is that little chart up here on the top, okay? That helps you. Remember, we do our bigger one times this number to get our smaller, okay? Excuse me. So looking at your homework page, it's a lot of what we did at the beginning of the on your own section there. So the top part just wants you to convert your bigger unit into your smaller unit. So we have some tons on this side that need to be converted into pounds, and over here we have some pounds that need to be converted into ounces, okay? Remember, pounds to ounces, we're going to multiply by 16, and a ton to pounds, we're going to multiply by 2,000. So there's a quick reminder for the top of your page too. That way you don't have to look back if you don't want to. Okay, the next section, you're going to compare. So again, you're going to have to do what you did up above, convert your bigger unit of measurement into your smaller. So we're looking at pounds and ounces. I'm going to convert the pounds into ounces and then see what's bigger. If I'm looking at tons and pounds, like on this side, we're going to convert our tons into pounds. so we can compare them. They have to be the same unit or we cannot compare them. When we get down to 14 and 15, you got a couple of word problems here. The 14 says, a company that makes steel grinders can produce 6 tons of grinders in one day. How many pounds is that? So I'm converting your tons into pounds. Number 15 says Larry's baby sister weighed 6 pounds at birth. How many ounces did the baby weigh? So how many ounces did she weigh at birth? Lesson check on the back. Number 1 says, Anne bought 2 pounds of cheese to make lasagna. The recipe gives the amount of cheese needed in ounces. How many ounces of cheese did she buy? So again, converting our pounds into ounces. Number 2, a school bus weighs 7 tons. The weight limit for a bridge is given in pounds. What is the weight of the bus in pounds? Again, some conversion. On your spiral review, number 3 is not one you need to do. This is from chapter 11. Number 4 asks you about lines of symmetry. How many lines of symmetry does the square have? Number 5, to make dough, Reba needs 2.5 cups of flour. How much flour does she need to make 5 batches? So I see a mixed number and a whole number that I need to do an operation with. What did we do with these kind of numbers in past lessons? Number 6, Judy's father is 6 feet tall. The minimum height for a roller coaster is given in inches. How many inches tall is Judy's father? This is from our last lesson on last Tuesday. So going from feet to inches. If you don't remember, flip back to 12.2 and it'll have some cheat sheets for you in there with that little chart up at the top. Okay, so your job is to do this homework page. Join me for the Zoom at 2:20 this afternoon, and we will go over it and any other questions you have for the rest of this lesson. Any previous questions you might have had, if you didn't have a chance to get on for one of the other ones, you can always ask me those too. Yeah, we will see you guys at 2:20.